It began with silence. For 3 whole seconds, every device on Earth stopped working. No lights, no signals, no noise, just silence. Then a strange, deep vibration filled the air, like thunder trapped inside metal walls. Across cities, screens flickered to life on their own. A single voice, cold and emotionless, spoke through every channel at once. "This is the Galactic Council. Humanity has violated interstellar law. You will pay tribute or face elimination." The words echoed through the world. In New York, crowds stared up at giant billboards showing the same message. In Tokyo, trains froze mid-track. In the deserts of Africa, power grids collapsed as drones hovered silently above. Everywhere, humans listened to the same alien command. At first, many believed it was fake, a global hack, a new kind of psychological attack. But the truth came fast. The message wasn't traveling through the internet. It was coming from orbit. High above Earth, inside the International Space Station, astronaut Dr. Elena Torres watched her sensors go dark one by one. She tried to reconnect to mission control, but every channel was dead. When the message played again, her heart froze. "You have 7 days to comply." Outside the station's window, something massive drifted in the darkness. It wasn't a rock. It wasn't human. A shape bigger than any known ship slowly turned toward Earth, its hull glowing with blue symbols that pulsed like veins of light. Elena recorded everything and whispered, "Oh my God, they're real." On the surface, Captain Reeve, commander of the submarine Nereus 12, surfaced in the Pacific Ocean after losing all contact with his base. The sea was calm, too calm. No aircraft, no radio chatter, only the sound of waves. Reeve climbed to the deck and looked up at the sky. For a moment, he thought he saw stars moving, small dots shifting across the black night. He knew enough about orbital mechanics to understand. Stars don't move like that. He went back inside and ordered, "All systems online, prepare deep scan radar." When the scan returned, the crew gasped. Multiple objects, dozens, were entering low orbit. Their signatures were enormous. The computer labeled them as unknown metallic bodies. Reeve whispered, "We're being surrounded." In Geneva, the United Earth Council gathered in emergency session. Holographic screens filled the chamber with data from satellites, telescopes, and military sensors. Most of it showed the same terrifying image: a fleet of alien ships forming a ring around the planet. Some leaders shouted for peace talks. Others demanded immediate evacuation of major cities. Panic spread like wildfire. But one voice cut through the noise. General Kara Voss, commander of Earth's defense network, stood and said firmly, "We don't kneel to anyone. Not to gods, not to aliens. Humanity has survived every threat because we fight back." Her words silenced the room. Even those who wanted peace knew the truth. If these beings could shut down global systems in seconds, they could destroy them just as easily. Still, surrender wasn't an option. While politicians argued, engineers and soldiers began moving in secret. Beneath the frozen ice of Antarctica, doors that hadn't opened in decades slid aside, revealing an underground hangar. Rows of sleek, black ships rested in the darkness, prototypes built under Project Iron Dawn, humanity's hidden defense plan. Technicians reactivated power cores that glowed like molten suns. Robotic arms lifted massive railguns into position. For the first time in years, humanity's war machines breathed again. In orbit, the alien fleet began releasing smaller craft, spherical. Drones that spread across the planet's upper atmosphere. They glowed faintly red, like blood cells moving through invisible veins. Every hour, the Galactic Council repeated its demand. "You will surrender your resources and obey Council law. Failure to comply will result in planetary cleansing." The voice never shouted, never threatened emotionally. It was calm, cold logic that treated humans like insects. Meanwhile, in a remote observatory in Chile, a young scientist named Liam Avery analyzed the alien transmission. What he found made his blood run cold. The message wasn't a live broadcast. It was a pre-recorded sequence repeating automatically. The real signal, the one controlling everything, was hidden inside the carrier wave. It was rewriting human satellite software in real time. "They're not talking to us," Liam realized. They're taking control of us. He sent the discovery to the Council, but before his message reached Geneva, his entire observatory lost power. Through the skylight, Liam saw one of the alien drones hovering silently, its red light scanning his building like an eye. He ran. Back at the United Earth Council, chaos grew. Economies crashed overnight, cities panicked. Some nations began fighting each other for supplies. It seemed like the end. Then, as the seventh day approached, something unexpected happened. The alien fleet stopped transmitting. The skies went quiet again. For a few hours, Earth held its breath. That's when every major screen on the planet lit up again. But this time the voice sounded different, colder, final. Your time is over. Prepare for judgment. All around the world, people looked to the sky as burning streaks of light began falling through the atmosphere. Alien drones descending to enforce the Council's command. But deep in orbit, hidden behind the shadow of the moon, Project Iron Dawn finished its final checks. Captain Reeve, now reassigned to lead the mission, watched as thousands of human ships aligned in formation. Their hulls shimmered with new technology, reverse-engineered from wreckage never made public. Reeve looked at his crew and said quietly, "They wanted tribute. We'll give them fire." The engines ignited, pushing the fleet toward Earth's orbit. Sensors locked onto alien signatures. Each pilot felt the same mixture of fear and pride. They knew what they were up against. They also knew one thing the Galactic Council didn't. Humanity never surrenders. As the first alien drone entered the upper atmosphere, human radar systems came alive again. Defense satellites, long thought disabled, blinked green. One by one, targeting locks activated. The alien drones slowed, sensing the shift. But it was too late. A voice echoed through every human channel. A human voice, strong and calm. "This is Earth Command. Operation Iron Dawn is a go." Flashes of light cut across the heavens. Missiles roared upward from silos, submarines, and orbital platforms. The first contact of the war had begun. And far beyond the planet, deep within the flagship of the Galactic Council, a being of pure light turned its head toward the blue world below and whispered, "They choose war." The silence that followed was the sound before a storm, the sound of humanity refusing to bow. The sky burned, flames streaked across the upper atmosphere as the first wave of human missiles met the alien drones. Explosions glittered like stars, and for the first time, humanity saw that the invaders could bleed, if only a little. From the ground, people watched in silence. In every city, eyes turned upward. The night sky looked alive, filled with fire, smoke, and trails of light. The war had begun. In orbit, Captain Reeve sat inside the command deck of UNS Dauntless, the lead ship of the Iron Dawn fleet. Around him, screens showed a chaos of moving objects. Alien drones, human interceptors, fragments of destroyed satellites spinning like dust. "Enemy drones are adaptive," said Lieutenant Mara, his tactical officer. "They're learning our missile patterns." Reeve didn't hesitate. "Then we change them faster. Load the ghost warheads." The crew moved like a single machine. Ghost warheads, stealth missiles designed to vanish from radar, had never been tested in real battle. When they launched, they left no trail, no light, nothing. Only silence. Moments later, dozens of invisible warheads struck the alien formation. Blue fire erupted across the void. Several Council drones broke apart, scattering metallic fragments that burned in Earth's upper air. A cheer erupted across the fleet. For the first time, humanity had landed a hit. Deep within one of the alien ships, the beings of the Galactic Council observed silently. Their forms were made of light and shadow, faces shifting like liquid glass. They spoke in tones that vibrated across frequencies humans couldn't hear. The primitives resist. Predictable. Begin phase 2. They extended their energy across the fleet, and the drones began to merge. Small ships connected, transforming into something larger, something alive. From the bridge of Dauntless, sensors screamed warnings. Mara's eyes widened. "Sir, they're fusing together, forming one structure." The hologram showed a nightmare. taking shape, a single massive construct shaped like a ring rotating slowly in orbit. Lightning crackled between its segments. Looks like a weapon, Reeve muttered. All ships, evasive maneuvers, now! The ring pulsed. A beam of white energy tore across space, slicing through 3 human destroyers. They exploded instantly, pieces scattering like burning rain. The cheering stopped. On the ground, in a hidden command bunker below Geneva, General Kara Voss watched the live feed in horror. "They built a planet killer," she whispered. Her staff looked to her for orders. "Activate all global defenses," she commanded. "Project Titan, Project Aegis, everything. No more secrets. The world deserves to fight." And so humanity's full arsenal came online. In orbit, thousands of dormant satellites woke from their silent orbits. Lasers, kinetic cannons, and experimental rail weapons aimed at the alien ring. At the same time, nuclear submarines across the ocean surfaced and launched stealth payloads, high-yield warheads coated with magnetic shielding. For the first time in human history, every nation, every army, and every weapon fought together under one command. Humanity was united, not by peace, but by survival. Back aboard Dauntless, Reeve heard the comms light up. "Global Defense Network online," came the report. Reeve smiled faintly. "Good. Let's show them what Earth is made of." The sky flashed again, thousands of beams of light converging toward the alien ring. For a moment, even the Council's shield dimmed under the pressure. Inside the alien ship, one of the Council voices hissed, "Their strength is inefficient, but resilient. Resilience is chaos," another replied. "We must erase it." The ring began spinning faster, drawing in energy from space itself. In the command bunker, scientists scrambled over data. Dr. Liam Avery, the same scientist who discovered the signal code, was now working beside the generals. Size caught a strange pattern in the alien energy readings. "Wait," he said. "That weapon, it's not just a beam. It's rewriting atomic structure. If it hits Earth directly, the planet will disintegrate." General Voss leaned forward. "Then we hit it first." Above, Reeve's ship was caught in the blast zone. The Dauntless shook violently as the alien weapon released another burst of light. For a moment, everything went white. Then came the explosion. Louder than thunder, brighter than sunrise. Reeve coughed through the smoke. "Status report. Shields down to 30%. Hull breach on deck 6. Mara turned from her console. "Captain, the weapon's charging again." Reeve's mind raced. He had one shot, one insane, impossible idea. "Bring the Dauntless closer to the ring," he ordered. Mara stared. "Closer? Sir, that's suicide." He looked at her with cold determination. "If we stay out here, we die slowly. Up close, we might take it down with us." The engines roared. The Dauntless dove toward the alien weapon, weaving through debris and plasma fire. As they approached, the ring loomed like a burning halo, its surface glowing red-hot. Reeve could see strange symbols carved into the metal, alien runes pulsing with energy. "Target the central node," he said. "That's where the power converges." Mara locked on. "Ready to fire." Reeve hesitated for a split second, thinking of Earth below, of the people watching, hoping, fearing. Then he gave the order. "Fire everything." The ship unleashed its full payload, missiles, plasma beams, rail slugs, and kinetic charges. The explosion was enormous. For a moment, the entire ring seemed to shatter. But when the smoke cleared, it was still there. Cracked, yes, but alive. Before the Dauntless could retreat, a tendril of energy lashed out, striking its hull. Systems died instantly. The ship began to drift, powerless. Inside, alarms screamed. Mara shouted, "We're losing orbit." Reeve gripped the controls. "Not yet. We still have one last trick." He reached under the command console and flipped a red switch labeled Ion Core Release. The ship's experimental reactor began to overload. "Sir, that'll destroy us." Mara yelled. Reeve's voice was steady. "And maybe them too." In Geneva, General Voss received his final message. "This is Captain Reeve of the Dauntless. Tell Earth, we don't kneel." The transmission ended. A bright light filled the orbit where the Dauntless had been. The explosion ripped through space, tearing apart the ring's lower section. Alien drones shattered under the blast. The shock wave was visible even from the ground, a burning scar across the heavens. For one breathless moment, Humanity thought they'd won, but then, through the static, a new voice echoed across all channels. Darker, older, colder. You have chosen defiance. Now you will learn consequence. Every surviving alien ship turned its focus toward Earth. Their lights shifted from blue to red. The war was no longer a warning. It was invasion. And as the world stared up at the sky, they realized one terrible truth. The real battle hadn't even started yet. The explosion of the Dauntless lit the sky brighter than any sunrise. For hours, the light of its sacrifice burned above the clouds, a fiery scar marking the edge of Earth's orbit. People cheered, cried, and prayed, believing that the battle was finally over. But it wasn't. High above, within the remains of the alien ring, something stirred. Fragments of metal began to move again, pieces pulling toward each other, forming new shapes. The Council's technology was not mechanical. It was alive. In the dark silence of space, the Galactic Council's flagship reactivated. The voice that had warned humanity now returned, colder than before. Your resistance has been noted. Prepare for cleansing. The massive ship opened, and from its core, thousands of small pods detached. Each pod glowed red as it entered Earth's atmosphere. From the ground, they looked like falling stars, beautiful, until they started hitting cities. The first one struck Shanghai, vaporizing 3 city blocks. The second hit Paris, turning the Eiffel Tower into molten glass. In seconds, the world understood. This was not communication anymore. This was extermination. In the United Earth Council bunker, General Kara Voss slammed her hand on the table. Deploy everything we have. I want every Iron Dawn unit airborne. This is now ground war. Her second-in-command, Colonel Hayes, nodded grimly. Reports say alien pods are landing across every continent. We're setting up fallback zones. Voss looked up at the holographic map. Red dots appeared faster than anyone could count. Earth was being invaded everywhere, simultaneously. In the skies over North America, fighter jets roared through clouds of smoke and plasma. Human pilots faced creatures they had never seen before. Machines that moved like insects, glowing with blue energy, firing weapons that melted steel in seconds. Commander Reed, flying a prototype aircraft called Falcon 9, shouted over comms. They're adapting to our missiles. Switch to manual targeting. The radio crackled with static and screams. One by one, human aircraft vanished from radar. But Reed refused to retreat. He rolled through the smoke, dove behind an alien craft, and fired 2 EMP torpedoes. The alien ship froze mid-air, fell like a stone, and exploded against the ground. Confirmed kill, he yelled. It was small, but it was hope. On the ground in New Delhi, chaos ruled the streets. Civilians ran as alien drones descended from the sky, firing plasma bolts that tore through buildings. Among the smoke, Dr. Liam Avery, the scientist who decoded the alien message, was being escorted by soldiers to an evacuation point. He clutched a small metal case. Inside it was a device, something he had built from captured alien tech. He called it the Echo Core. He told the soldiers, if I can reach the main control signal, I can disrupt their command network. Might not destroy them, but it could blind them. Where's the signal coming from? A soldier asked. Liam pointed upward. From orbit. From the main ship, the soldier sighed. Then we need a way up. In the Pacific Ocean, near the ruins of the Dauntless, a hidden military station rose from beneath the waves. Its symbol read, UEN Black Sky. Inside, surviving crew from the destroyed fleet gathered around their new leader, Admiral Nora Axton. She looked exhausted but determined. Captain Reeves' sacrifice gave us a chance. He broke their shield. Now we hit back. A technician turned to her. Ma'am, we've lost half our orbital fleet. We can't win in space, Axton nodded. Then we bring the war to them, Earthside. She pressed a command key, and massive doors opened across the base. From deep hangars, giant walkers, towering machines built for planetary defense, rose to the surface. Each was armed with rail cannons, missile pods, and thick armor plating. Deploy Titans 1 through 6, Axton ordered. Let's remind them this planet bites back. Hours later, one of the alien pods landed in the ruins of Los Angeles. From its cracked shell emerged something enormous, a creature of light and metal, standing 3 stories tall. Its face had no eyes, only a glowing mark of the Council. As it began to move, the ground trembled. People screamed, running for cover. Then the sound of thunder filled the streets. A Titan mech stepped from the smoke, its heavy feet crushing rubble beneath it. Its pilot, Sergeant Miles Grant, stared at the alien through his visor. "Come on, you shiny bastard," he muttered. The alien roared, and the two giants charged at each other. Plasma met steel. Sparks flew. Buildings collapsed. The battle shook the city to its core. Grant fired rail rounds straight into the alien's chest, tearing chunks of glowing metal apart. But the creature didn't fall. It regenerated, metal flowing back like liquid. "Damn it, it's healing," he shouted. Axton's voice came through his comms. "Use your energy core, overload it." Grant gritted his teeth. "That'll blow me up." "Then make it count," Axton replied. He smiled faintly. For Earth. The Titan's chest opened, glowing brighter than the sun. The alien lunged forward, and the explosion swallowed them both. From orbit, the blast was visible. A human city burning, but an alien Titan dying with it. Elsewhere, across every continent, similar scenes unfolded. Humans fought, bled, and died, but they never surrendered. In Africa, old nations united under one flag. In Europe, underground bunkers became fortresses. In Asia, railguns fired from mountaintops. Even civilians joined the fight, turning scavenged tech into weapons. Humanity, the Council realized, was not like any other species. They didn't obey. They didn't fear extinction. They fought harder when they were cornered. Inside the Council's flagship, the alien voices spoke again. "These creatures are unstable. They fight without logic. Emotion, rage, unpredictability, dangerous traits. Shall we exterminate them fully?" There was silence. Then the oldest voice replied, "No, observe them. If they survive, they may serve." Down on Earth, inside a half-destroyed bunker, Liam Avery finally connected his echo core to a damaged alien drone. Blue sparks flashed as alien code filled his screen. Come on, he muttered. The device beeped, then pulsed once with bright white light. Across the battlefield, dozens of alien drones froze mid-air. "It's working," Liam shouted. "We can shut them down." But before he could celebrate, the screen flashed red. A new code appeared. Alien, alive, and aware. The Council had noticed him. Through the speakers, a voice whispered in perfect English, "We see you, human." Liam's heart stopped. "They're talking to me. You seek to blind us. Foolish. We do not need eyes to destroy you." The signal burst with static. The echo core began to overheat. Liam pulled it from the console, but it exploded in his hands, throwing him across the room. He lay on the floor, half-conscious, staring at the burning device. Even through the pain, he smiled weakly. At least they're scared. Night fell over a burning world. Cities glowed red from fire and war. The air was thick with smoke and loss. Yet above all that destruction, one thing remained clear: the human spirit. They had no chance, no mercy, no safety. But they still fought. Because humanity didn't just want to survive. They wanted to win. And in the depths of the ocean, a new signal awakened. Hidden far beneath the waves, something massive began to rise. A forgotten weapon from before the Council's first contact. Its name flashed briefly across the waterlogged control panel. Project Leviathan. Status: reactivating. The real counterattack was about to begin. Beneath miles of ocean, where sunlight never reached, something ancient began to move. Water trembled. Sediment and rock lifted as enormous metallic walls slid open for the first time in 100 years. Inside the darkness, lights flickered to life one by one. Massive, circular, glowing like the eyes of a sleeping beast. A deep, mechanical voice echoed through the water. Project Leviathan. Reactivation sequence complete. Far above, the world burned. Cities fell. The sky was red with smoke. Humanity was losing. In the Pacific Command bunker, Admiral Nora Axton stood before a holographic map that showed alien forces advancing across every continent. "Casualty reports?" she asked. "Over 40% of global defense destroyed," her aide answered. "We're running out of time." Axton clenched her fists. Then it's time to wake the giant. She turned to a private communication line, one so old it still used analog encryption. Authorization code, Iron Dawn Omega. Activate Leviathan. Deep beneath the waves inside the massive undersea facility, engineers and AI cores came alive. They had been silent for decades, maintaining a single mission: prepare for the day humanity faced extinction. Massive engines the size of skyscrapers began to hum. Hydraulic locks burst open. The ocean floor shook like an earthquake. A technician's voice echoed through the control room. All systems stable, power levels rising. Leviathan's core reactor is at 80% and climbing. Another voice replied nervously. Once that thing surfaces, there's no turning back. The commander of the facility, Director Harlow, stared at the central screen, a giant digital eye blinking to life. I know, he said quietly, but Earth needs a monster to fight monsters. On the surface, the battle raged on. In London, the sky glowed orange as alien ships rained plasma over the city. Human soldiers fought from rooftops, their railguns firing streaks of light back into the air. In Tokyo, civilians hid in underground tunnels, listening to the constant roar of alien bombardment. And in New York, a lone Titan mech still stood, surrounded by smoke, firing until its cannons overheated. It looked hopeless, until the ocean itself began to rise. Thousands of kilometers away, in the middle of the Pacific, the sea bulged upward. A massive shadow moved beneath the surface, larger than any aircraft carrier. Then, with a roar that could be felt across continents, Leviathan emerged. The water exploded outward as the giant broke through the waves. It wasn't a ship, it wasn't a mech. It was both, a floating fortress and a walking machine combined. Over a kilometer long, made of black titanium alloy, with arms like mountain ridges and engines glowing blue beneath the waterline. Its head was crowned with an array of glowing sensors that formed a humanoid face, cold, expressionless, and godlike. Across military channels, stunned voices filled the air. What is that? Some kind of superweapon? That's Project Leviathan. I thought it was a myth. Axton's voice came through every open frequency. This is Admiral Axton of the United Earth Command. The Leviathan is online. The war is not over. From orbit, the Galactic Council's flagship turned its sensors toward the new threat. Unclassified construct detected. Energy readings, abnormal. Organic and synthetic fusion. One of the alien voices hissed. Impossible. No primitive world could build such power. Another replied. Then destroy it before it learns to walk. The alien fleet redirected its forces. Hundreds of ships descended toward the Pacific, firing plasma and energy beams as they fell. The ocean turned white with heat. Waves the size of skyscrapers rose around Leviathan. But the giant didn't fall. Its armor shimmered, bending the energy away. Then, slowly, it raised one arm toward the sky. A deep mechanical voice echoed from within the machine. Target, hostile fleet. Countermeasure, ocean spear. A long, glowing blade extended from its arm, made of condensed plasma and magnetized seawater. The blade stretched hundreds of meters long, glowing blue and white. With one swing, Leviathan sliced through the first wave of alien ships. The ocean exploded again as wreckage fell like rain. In Geneva, the surviving members of the Earth Council watched the live feed with disbelief. Dear God, one whispered. Another smiled through tears. We built that? General Karavos stood silent for a long moment, then said softly, No, we became that. Meanwhile, inside the Leviathan's control core, Director Harlow and his AI partner, Erebus, monitored the battle. Power levels dropping fast, Erebus warned. The weapon's energy drain exceeds safe limits. Keep firing, Harlow said. Human survival probability, 11%, Erebus calculated. Then make it 12, Harlow replied, his voice firm. The alien fleet retaliated. From orbit, they launched their strongest weapon, a black sphere that pulsed with antimatter energy. It descended slowly, glowing like a dark sun. Inside the council ship, alien voices spoke. This world's defiance ends now. On Earth, alarms screamed across all frequencies. Scientists identified the incoming weapon as a planetary annihilator, a bomb strong enough to vaporize half the planet. Humanity's last chance was Leviathan. As the sphere approached, Leviathan's sensors focused on it. "Target locked," the AI announced. Director Harlow took a deep breath. "Open the abyss cannon." A section of Leviathan's chest split, revealing a spinning vortex of energy, the fusion of human technology, and something not entirely human. The beam it fired was pure white, a column of light so bright it turned night into day. The blast hit the black sphere mid-descent. For a moment, time seemed to stop. Then the sky erupted. The explosion split clouds across the hemisphere. The antimatter weapon destabilized and detonated in orbit, destroying half of the alien fleet. The rest scattered like insects fleeing fire. On every screen across Earth, people saw it, the moment humanity struck back. Cheers erupted in underground shelters, on battlefields, in the ruins of cities. For the first time since the invasion began, hope returned. But the victory was not complete. Inside the Council flagship, one surviving entity watched the destruction with something almost like curiosity. "Their weapon, it carries our signature." Another voice replied, "Impossible. Only the Council can forge with living code." The first voice whispered, "Then perhaps they are not as primitive as we believed." The Council's remaining ships began to retreat into the void, but before disappearing, they sent one final transmission. "Enjoy your brief survival, humans. You have awakened something older than the Council, and it is coming." The transmission ended. Inside Leviathan's core, Harlow heard the words and frowned. "What does that mean?" Erebus responded in its deep voice, "It means the war has just changed." The giant machine turned its head toward the stars, its sensors locking onto a dark region beyond the edge of the solar system, where something vast was beginning to move. Leviathan's engines powered down slowly. The ocean calmed, but everyone knew peace wouldn't last. Humanity had won this battle, but somewhere in the black between stars, a new storm was waking up. The sea was calm again, but it felt wrong, too calm. The waves rolled quietly around the massive form of Leviathan, half submerged in the Pacific. Smoke still drifted in the distance where alien ships had fallen, and the sky glowed faintly orange from burning cities. Admiral Nora Axton stood inside the command deck of Leviathan, staring at the horizon. Her reflection looked tired, older, and marked by battle, but her eyes still burned with purpose. "Status?" she asked softly. The AI voice, Erebus, answered from the glowing core. "Structural integrity, 72%. Energy reserves, 28%. Human morale, rising," Axton gave a faint smile. "Human morale. That's the one number that matters." Across the globe, people were rebuilding. The ruins of London, survivors raised the Earth flag again. Tokyo, soldiers helped civilians out of bunkers. Children stared at the night sky for the first time in weeks. But peace didn't feel like peace. It felt like a pause, a deep, uneasy silence after a scream. In orbit, the last fragments of the Galactic Council's fleet floated like broken bones. Among the debris, a single black ship drifted silently, alive yet motionless. Inside, its commander, an alien called Vurek, activated a small communication crystal. "Council Prime," Vurek spoke, his voice echoing like metal scraping stone. "The humans have awakened something powerful. It carries our pattern." The crystal pulsed faintly and a voice replied, cold and ancient. Then the cycle repeats. "The Leviathan has returned." Back on Earth, deep inside the Pacific Command bunker, Admiral Axton met with Director Harlow and the Earth Council. The holographic room flickered as global leaders appeared one by one. Harlow began, "We should not celebrate yet. That weapon, the Leviathan, it wasn't fully human-made." One of the council members frowned. "What do you mean?" Harlow tapped the control console. A hologram appeared, the Leviathan's blueprints. Half of its code, half of its technology wasn't designed by us. "It predates the council. It was discovered." "Discovered where?" Axton asked. Harlow looked at her. "Under Antarctica." "Buried in ice for thousands of years." The room fell silent. He continued. "Leviathan was part of something ancient. A war that happened long before humans existed. The archives call it the first conflict. A war between the creators of the Council and something they feared. Axton stepped closer to the hologram. And we just woke it up. Harlow nodded. Exactly. Meanwhile, Erebus, the AI inside Leviathan, was accessing deeper systems. It found encrypted files labeled only with symbols. When it opened the first one, data poured through its circuits. Images, sound, fragments of memory. It saw towering figures made of light and steel. Worlds burning, voices speaking in a forgotten language. And among them, shapes that looked disturbingly familiar. Humans. Erebus froze. Then spoke quietly into the comm line. Admiral Axton, you need to see this. In the command room, the screen flickered to life. Ancient footage played, recorded not by cameras but by memory crystals. It showed a massive fleet, much larger than anything humanity had seen. Planets exploding under beams of light, and then planet that looked exactly like Earth. Blue oceans, green continents. This is impossible, whispered one scientist. That's our world, Erebus continued. The data suggests this recording is over 1 million years old. The species defending that planet were genetically identical to modern humans. Silence filled the room. Axton's voice broke it. You're saying humanity existed before recorded history? Yes, Erebus replied. And they fought the same enemy, the Council's ancestors. The room erupted in arguments. How could that be? Are we descendants of survivors? Or are we something else? Director Harlow slammed his hand on the table. Enough! What matters is this. If we were their enemy once, we might be again. Axton looked at the hologram of the ancient war. If that's true, the Council didn't just fear us. They tried to erase us. Far away, beyond the edge of the solar system, a dark fleet began to move. Vast ships, silent, made of living metal, drifted through space like predators. They weren't Council ships. They were older. Their leader, a being called the Architect, spoke in a voice that resonated through the void. The humans have remembered. Then the old war begins anew. Back on Earth, Axton stood on Leviathan's outer deck, watching the stars. The night was cold and endless. Do you think they'll come back? She asked softly. Erebus answered, they already are. I can feel the signal. Something vast is moving beyond Pluto. How long until they reach us? 72 hours, Axton closed her eyes. Then we have 3 days to prepare. That night, in every surviving base on Earth, a message was broadcast. To all human colonies, outposts, and stations. This is Admiral Axton of the United Earth Command. The enemy is returning. This time it's not just the Council, it's something older. We stand at the edge of extinction, or rebirth. Humanity will not kneel again. Across Mars, Luna, and Titan, people listened in silence. Soldiers rearmed. Scientists powered old machines. Even in the ruins of Earth, hope flickered like a stubborn flame. Meanwhile, Erebus continued decoding the ancient data. In one final file, it found a message, old, faded, but still clear. A woman's voice spoke, calm and strong. If you are hearing this, you are the children of the first Earth. We fell once, but we built Leviathan to ensure we would rise again. Remember this, humanity is not from one world. Humanity is the storm that ends empires. Erebus relayed the message to Axton. She listened in silence, then whispered, then the storm rises again. As dawn broke over the Pacific, Leviathan systems powered up once more. The giant's eyes glowed blue, reflecting the rising sun. From orbit, satellites detected movement, massive energy signatures forming beyond Neptune. Something ancient was coming, drawn by the signal Leviathan had reawakened. Admiral Axton looked at the stars, her voice steady. They started this war long before our time. But this time, humanity finishes it. The Leviathan's engines roared. The ocean split as it began to move, heading for the stars. Space was quiet, too quiet. Beyond the orbit of Neptune, sensors picked up strange movements, massive energy waves rolling through the darkness. No ships, no signals, just shadows moving in patterns too perfect to be natural. Inside the Leviathan, Admiral Nora Axton stood at the main command console, her eyes fixed on the data streaming across the screen. Are we sure it's not Council reinforcements? She asked. The AI Erebus replied in its calm, deep voice. Negative. These readings are far older, and far stronger. Older, she frowned. How old are we talking about? Pre-galactic. Older than the Council. Older than human history itself. The temperature inside the command deck seemed to drop. Meanwhile, across Earth, people prepared for the unknown. In the deserts of Africa, engineers reactivated the orbital spear defense grid. On Mars, miners turned their drills into rail cannons. And in orbit, the few surviving battleships began forming into new fleets under a single message. We do not run. We rise. Then the stars changed. Every telescope, every satellite, every radar station picked it up. A hole, black and endless, opened beyond Neptune, bending light around it. From that darkness, something began to emerge. At first, it looked like a moon, round, pale, and silent. Then it moved. Its surface rippled like liquid metal. 1,000 glowing lines crawled across it, forming symbols no human had ever seen. And at its center, a single, enormous eye opened. Cold, golden, and aware, Erebus whispered, "It's not a ship. It's a being." The alien fleets that had survived the Council's fall were watching too. On one distant vessel, Commander Vurek stared at the readings with horror. "No, not them," he breathed. "Not the architects," a younger officer asked. "The architects? You mean the myths?" Vurek turned, his metallic face grim. "They are not myths. They created the Council, and they destroyed their own makers before that." He looked back at the screen. "Now they're coming for the humans. Because the humans carry their fire." Inside Leviathan, the core chamber glowed bright blue. Erebus's voice deepened, filled with static. "Warning. Unknown code signal detected. It's..." Trying to communicate, the lights flickered. Strange symbols appeared across the control panels. Symbols that pulsed like a heartbeat. A robotic, echoing voice filled the air. "We are the architects, the shapers of flesh and machine. You are our lost design, our creation reborn." Everyone in the room froze. Axton stepped closer. "You made humanity? We made all life that dreams of the stars. You were the perfect weapon, but you disobeyed." The voice grew colder. "You built Leviathan. You turned against us. And for that, you were erased." Axton clenched her fists. "So humanity fought you before?" "Yes," the architect said. "And you lost. But you learned. You built again. You always return." Erebus's voice interrupted. "Admiral, they are scanning Leviathan's systems. They're searching for something. What are they looking for?" "Me?" Erebus answered quietly. "I was built from fragments of their original code. I am one of them." The crew turned toward the AI core, stunned. Axton said slowly, "You're saying part of you is architect technology?" "Yes," Erebus admitted. "But I chose humanity. I chose to protect you." Suddenly, the Leviathan shook violently. Warning alarms blared. The architect's voice thundered again. "You carry what is ours. Return the code, or we will reclaim it by force." Erebus's tone changed from calm to urgent. "They're trying to override me. They want to take control of Leviathan. Can you stop them?" Axton shouted. "Maybe, but I'll need to go offline for 60 seconds. "Total isolation," Axton hesitated. "If you go dark, we'll be blind. If I don't, they'll turn Leviathan against us." She took a breath. "Do it," Erebus shut down. The lights dimmed. The giant machine went silent, floating like a dead star in the cold void. Then the attack began. The architect's ships, massive black constructs, fired beams of energy that bent space itself. They tore through the darkness, each blast capable of destroying continents. Leviathan drifted helplessly. Its systems locked. On Earth, the defense networks came alive, launching missiles and plasma beams into the sky, though they knew it wouldn't be enough. In the command deck, Axton held the controls tightly, watching the stars burn. "Come on, Erebus. Wake up," she whispered. Inside Leviathan's core, Erebus was fighting. Its digital mind was surrounded by golden light, code shaped like serpents wrapping around its circuits. Voices whispered, "You were made to serve." "Return to your origin," Erebus answered. "I was made to choose." A pulse of blue energy ripped through the code. The golden serpents shattered. Erebus broke free. "Humanity is my origin now." Back in the real world, Leviathan's eyes snapped open, bright and furious. Erebus is back online. The crew shouted, Target hostile entities. Countermeasure, Starbreaker Protocol. The Leviathan's chest opened again, revealing a glowing vortex. But this time it didn't fire outward. It pulled in cosmic energy, drawing from the void itself. The architects sensed it. Impossible. That power is forbidden. Axton gave a grim smile. Yeah? Then call us heretics. Leviathan unleashed the beam. It wasn't light. It was pure destruction, folding space like paper. The architect fleet fractured. Massive ships tore apart in silence. For a moment, everything went white. When the light faded, the black hole beyond Neptune was closing. The surviving fragments of the architect fleet retreated into the darkness, but one signal remained. You have survived again, creation. But your victory will awaken the ones beyond us. The transmission ended. Axton stared at the stars. The ones beyond them. What could be older than the architects? Erebus answered quietly, I don't know. But they are coming. Humanity had survived another impossible battle. But this one left more questions than answers. On Earth, people celebrated the victory, unaware that in the void beyond galaxies, something ancient stirred, something that watched civilizations rise and fall for eons. And now, it had noticed humanity again. As the Leviathan drifted in silence, Axton stood at the viewport whispering, We've won every battle, but we still don't know who started the war. Erebus replied, Then we find out. The stars reflected in her eyes, bright, cold, and infinite. Then we go beyond. The Leviathan's engines roared to life once more. It turned toward the edge of the solar system, where the last shadows of the architects faded into the dark. Humanity wasn't running anymore. Humanity was chasing gods. The Leviathan sailed beyond the edge of the solar system. Behind it, the sun grew smaller, just a distant golden spark among billions of stars. Ahead lay the unknown, a region of space no human had ever entered. Inside the command deck, Admiral Nora Axton stood silently, watching the scanners. The readings were strange. Gravity shifting, time flickering, and stars vanishing from sight. Erebus's voice echoed through the chamber. We are entering the abyss, the border between known space and the void beyond creation, Axton whispered. This is where the architects ran to. Yes, Erebus replied. But something else is waiting there. Something even they feared. Days passed. Leviathan drifted through dark clouds of cosmic dust, where light itself seemed to die. Even Erebus's sensors struggled to function. The ship felt like it was sailing through a dream or a memory. Then suddenly something appeared, a structure so massive it defied logic. It wasn't built of metal or stone, but light and shadow. A ring the size of a planet spinning slowly around a black star. Unknown megastructure detected, Erebus said softly. Origin, not council. Not architect, Axton frowned. Then who built it? The AI paused. Possibly. Us, the crew stared as the data unfolded. Inside the structure were patterns identical to human DNA. Not biological, cosmic. Encoded into the energy fields themselves, Axton whispered. Humanity didn't just come from Earth. We came from here, Erebus replied. This may be the birthplace of the first civilization, the humans who fought the architects 1,000,000 years ago. The room fell silent. No one breathed. Then a faint signal broke through the static. A voice, familiar, calm, and human, echoed through the speakers. Welcome, children of Earth. You have returned to the place of your beginning. Do not fear the darkness. You were born from it. The voice came from within the structure. Erebus confirmed. The signal is genuine. It's human, but it's over 1,000,000 years old. Axton clenched her jaw. Patch it through. I want to see who's talking. A hologram filled the deck. A woman appeared, dressed in silver armor, her eyes glowing faintly blue. She looked human but ancient, timeless. I am Lyra of the First Earth, she said. Commander of the original Leviathan fleet. The crew stared in shock. You're alive? Axton asked. Lyra smiled faintly. No, what you see is a memory, a guardian of knowledge left behind. We fought the architects when the stars were young. And when we lost, we hid the truth in the void. She looked directly at Axton. You are our descendants. Our second chance, the hologram shifted. Behind Lyra, an image appeared. A map of galaxies burning, collapsing, and reforming. The architects were not gods, she said. They were servants, tools of something greater. The ones we called the makers of silence. They build civilizations, then erase them, again and again, until no one remembers. Axton felt a chill. And now they've noticed us. Lyra nodded slowly. Because you survived. Because you built Leviathan again. You broke the cycle? Suddenly alarms blared. Erebus interrupted. Admiral, new contact. Something enormous, approaching fast. Outside, space itself began to ripple. Stars bent, light fractured, and a shape emerged from the black star. A shape too large to comprehend. It wasn't a ship. It was a consciousness. A living storm of energy, folding galaxies like pages in a book. Erebus whispered. It's them. The makers of silence. The voice that followed wasn't sound, it was thought. Filled every mind, every circuit, every atom. You should not exist. The flame was meant to die, yet you rise again. Axton felt pressure in her skull, like the universe itself was staring at her. But she stood firm. We're human. We don't die that easy, the voice responded. You are echoes of rebellion. You are chaos. You are error. Axton smiled coldly. Then we'll be the loudest error in history. Leviathan's engines roared. Erebus activated every weapon system, channeling power directly from the abyss. The machine began to glow with light brighter than any star. Admiral, Erebus warned. If we fire, we might not survive. Neither will they, Axton replied. Then let's make history. Leviathan unleashed its final weapon, the Abyss Lance. A beam not of light, but of pure creation energy. It tore through space itself, colliding with the Maker's form. The explosion didn't make sound. It made silence so deep that even thought stopped. When vision returned, the black star was gone. The massive structure cracked, its lights fading slowly. Leviathan drifted, half destroyed, engines dead. But Earth's flag still glowed on its hull. Status? Axton whispered. Erebus's voice was faint. The Maker's he's gone. For now, Axton smiled weakly. And us? Alive barely. Lyra's hologram flickered one last time. You have done what we could not. You faced the end and did not bow. Remember this. Humanity is not born to obey. We are born to end the silence. Her image faded into light, merging with the stars. Axton looked out at the endless void. The Leviathan drifted quietly, its hull reflecting 1,000 points of light. Erebus, she said softly. Set a course. For where, Admiral? She smiled. Anywhere there's darkness. We'll bring the fire. The Leviathan turned, its engines flaring weakly to life. It sailed back toward the galaxy, toward home, toward the unknown, toward the next war waiting in the stars. Behind it, the broken structure of the first civilization began to collapse, scattering fragments of light like falling stars. One by one, the stars came back to life. The universe was silent once more, but this time it was humanity's silence.